I'm sure you've heard the news by now. There was a 9-year-old girl that was pepper sprayed in Rochester, I believe, New York, and it's been all over the place. A lot of people saying it's outrageous and it's crazy, but is it outrageous or is it just hype? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm glad that you're here. What's up and welcome back, friends and frenemies, to the channel. I'm glad that you're here. This is the place where we apply logic and conviction to culture, news, politics, and whatever else gets our attention for the day. I'm C. Scott, and this is my view. So, just over a week ago, 9 or 10 days ago maybe, news report came out about this 9-year-old girl, and it's like really sensationalized. 9-year-old girl was pepper sprayed by police. And of course, you get the normal reactions that you would get when you hear and find out that a child was pepper sprayed. That's crazy. But as we are going to do in this video, we want to take a closer look and find out if it's completely outrageous, if the police were wrong and they should be treated harshly, or is there another side of the story? Is it justifiable? Is it okay that the child was pepper sprayed? Before we get into it, let me just say, I don't think children should just be pepper sprayed. Pepper spray is a terrible, terrible thing. It's painful. It has long-lasting effects. Like when I say long-lasting, I mean 30 minutes to an hour. Cause a whole lot of irritation. And so I don't take pepper spray lightly in any way. But we want to look at what happened. So there's some descriptions, or there's a couple links in the description. One of them is a news article that's about the event. The other is the actual video from the event. I believe it's in two parts from this one news source that had put the body cam footage out. It's pretty long. I believe it's over 10 minutes in the two parts. So I encourage you to go make sure that you look at it. Don't just see the clips, the 10 seconds here or there where they show some things that are going on. Definitely get informed, because that's the most important thing that we can do. So at this point, what we have being said is that this was more gross inaction by the police. It was terrible. It never should have been done. And all the headlines just put 9-year-old girl in pepper spray or mace by police. And of course, the reactions, the emotions and things like that are stirred up by these headlines and things are pretty significant, and they're not good for police. Right off the bat, it doesn't look good for them. But we've got to learn, it's 2021, especially if you're a little bit more conservative, or if you just don't like to be lied to, if you don't like to be suckered in by fake news. We have to really think critically about the news that we get, and we have to kind of look and see if what they told us is what really happened. Again, that's what we want to do here right now. This happened like on, I think it was January 29th. We're now in the first week of February, and at this point, you have two officers that have been placed on administrative leave. One of them has been suspended while the police department supposedly go and investigate this event. Along with what happened to the officers, the mom has come out and said that she's suing the police department for their terrible actions against her baby, as she said in the press conference. And of course, she's trying to get paid, and she also says she's asking for police reforms, which is interesting. So there are lots of articles, news reports, and now there's BLM protests over in that city talking about how terrible the police are, how terrible of an event or incident this was, and how things need to change. But again, is it really outrageous, or is it just hype? The other things that are being said are by there's some other things being said by the governor, Cuomo, who sent all the people to So there's some other things that are being said by the interesting Governor Cuomo, who had his COVID catastrophe in his state that they've been trying to cover up, but we're not talking about that today. Anyway, he said that this isn't how the police should treat anyone, let alone a 9-year-old girl. Well, that's not true. That's not true at all. But anyway, I digress. You also have the state attorney general, Letitia James, who went after the NRA, who went after President Trump, and is clearly completely on the left and is not really pro law enforcement, even though she's the attorney general. She says what happened in Rochester on Friday, a couple weeks ago, was deeply disturbing and wholly unacceptable. Such use of force and pepper spray should never be deployed against a child, period. My office is looking into what transpired and how a child was ever subjected to such danger, the danger of pepper spray. Now, for most people, kind of like the Wuhan flu coronavirus, most people, over 99% of people, pepper spray is not considered dangerous. It's painful, it's irritating, gets you to comply, gets you to stop doing what you're doing most of the time, but it's not actually dangerous. There are some people, though, who have respiratory issues, typically the elderly and other people that have respiratory disease already. They can have some trouble with pepper spray, and it can be dangerous to them. But what you see right there is just the Attorney General using inflammatory language to talk about a danger that's not really a danger. You also had the mayor step in. I believe it was the mayor of Rochester, New York, or whatever the place is. She stepped in and she's talking about how she saw her daughter's face and the face of the child in the video, and things are so terrible and we don't want to justify it and all these kind of things. And so she met with the police chief, who's a new police chief, which we'll talk about later. She met with the police chief, and that's when those officers were actually suspended and the one that was placed on leave. So before the video starts, you have a call. A call was made to the police station. The call was made by the mother, who was involved in some type of domestic disturbance, some domestic incident. It sounds like from the audio on the video that the mother of this child and the father of this child got into some type of physical dispute or disturbance, and the mom called the police, particularly dealing with the father of the child, which was the boyfriend of the mother. And so she called the police. Police get there, and then she says that she's having an issue with her daughter because her daughter, I guess, grabbed the bag and just took off going down the street. And the mom was having, the mom couldn't get the daughter to come back, and the daughter was having issues with the mom. It was also reported that the daughter said that she wanted to kill the mom, and the daughter also wanted to kill herself. She wanted to harm herself. So all these things are a part of the event that's in front of the video that you're going to see when you're watching the video. I'm not 100% sure if the officers heard the child, the girl, say anything about hurting herself or her mom, or if that was a part of the 911 call that had come in. I'm not 100% sure, but they were there to respond for domestic disturbance. The mom said that she needed help with the child because the child was, going down the street, not doing what she needed to do. So the cops were called there by the mom. So you watch this video. Police, has to take off, run down the block or something, and around the corner trying to catch up with this girl who's just going away. She immediately just starts saying no, no, no. Now the cop is being very respectful. He called her a dear or something like that. Some, fine, okay name where he wasn't being aggressive. He wasn't being difficult, but he was telling her, hey, I need to talk to you. Don't take off because I'm going to have to chase you. And she kept saying no, and I don't care, and I want my dad. And so this goes on then for like 10 minutes. So you have the original responding officer. He keeps dealing with her, and then he calls some other people over. And to deal with this incident, it ends up being like 7 or 8 or 9 cops there, several cars. Ends up being a huge thing. So as you progress through the video, you see the mom catch up. I don't know if the cop and the child walked back to where the house was, or the mom caught up with them. But then you see the mom starts cussing at the child and telling her what she's going to do. And the mom starts saying, she's going to whoop her butt. You're my child. You're going to go get in the house. And, and they start bleeping out all kind of stuff because the mom is going off on the child. And then the police are like, hold on, be quiet. I'm trying to talk to her and get this situation done. And the mom is all heated up, right? So then the daughter says that the mom stabbed the dad. And then she says, because of some blood that was seen on the mom, that it must have come from the mom stabbing the dad and all this kind of stuff. And she just wants her dad. And she's not going to do what the police tell her to do because she wants her dad. So all this stuff is just going on. So we finally get the mom to back off the daughter and trying to talk to the daughter. Also in the video, you see the original officer who caught up with the girl. He tells her several times, tell him what you told me. So he was trying to get the girl to tell another officer about the comment that she made about the mom potentially stabbing the father boyfriend that wasn't on the scene, right? She called the police. The boyfriend father took off. He's nowhere to be seen during all this time. So in the news reports, they say that, the police pepper sprayed this girl who was just calling for her dad. It wasn't like that. Yes, she was saying that she wanted to see her dad. Her dad was nowhere near because he left on his own volition. He took off after apparently having some type of domestic dispute. So we don't need to slander him, don't know what he did. The mom did say in the video to the daughter, you've seen him put his hands on me I don't know how many times. And mom was upset with the daughter for, wanting to go and be with the dad and seemingly taking his side and whatever. And so it seems like there was some type of domestic abuse from the father on the mother, and then the child is, responding and acting crazy. Now, she's doing all this kind of stuff. They're trying to hold on to her, and because she's being so resistant and non-compliant, they put her in handcuffs, or they try to put her in handcuffs, and then she's falling on the ground. She's rolling all over the place, and she keeps telling the cops, no, no, no. She says, I don't care, several times. One of the things that has made the articles in the news and the short stories is how the officer said, you're being a child, and she says, I am a child. So there's a couple things with that. One, people are getting on him for saying that to a child. Yes, it was a child. Maybe he misspoke. Obviously, what he meant was that she was acting like a toddler. She was acting like a baby. She was acting much younger and much more immature than she should be as a 9-year-old. Now, if you look at this girl, physically, she's not the size of a 9-year-old. She's bigger than a 9-year-old. And then you also hear her constantly going back and forth with the police. She doesn't sound intellectually that much like a 9-year-old. Now, I'm not saying that she's, should be treated like an adult or anything like that, but I'm saying that everybody's kind of trying to play this like, she was some 2 or 3-year-old out at the park and she just got maced by the police. No, she wasn't behaving like a 9-year-old. So he says you're acting like a child, obviously meaning you're being immature, you're acting like a little baby toddler or something like that. And she says, I am a child. So that right there immediately lets me know that she's either rehearsed that or she's well aware of what's going on right now. She's not completely out of control because she made a conscious decision, a thinking decision to respond to him in that way. So she's kind of in that moment justifying her actions, saying, well, I am a child, so I can do this, I can do whatever I want, which of course is not okay. So the other thing about that, she said, I am a child, what the F? She cusses to the police officer. So again, she's saying that she's a child, but she's using grown-up language. And so all these things are kind of going together, trying to make a big deal out of that, when it's really not a big deal what the officer said. I think it's a bigger deal how she responded to it and what was going on in the totality of the circumstances in this event. They get the mom and the daughter separated. I don't know if like somebody was driving by and asked the police if they need help. Something was going on, but you hear the mom off camera cussing out and trying to fight somebody who was driving by or passing by in some way. So they're getting the mom separated. All this stuff is going on at one time. She's talking to somebody over here and fighting and cussing and saying all types of stuff, which you'll hear in the video. Back to the daughter, they're trying to get her to comply. For whatever reason, they decide they need to take her out of the situation, partially because of her resistance, because of what was said, all these kind of things. She keeps dropping weight, falling on the ground. Then she tells the officer she wants to get the snow off. And then she asks for the lady cop. And they're doing all this stuff. And she's saying, I want my dad. And they're saying, okay, we'll call your dad. We'll get to your dad in a minute, but this is what you have to do first. No. All this kind of stuff is going on. And then she keeps saying that she has a bad arm. I've never heard of or met a 9-year-old with a bad arm, unless it was actually broken and being in a cast. But I've never heard a 9-year-old or a child use that phrase. So she's saying, oh, I have a bad arm. They're trying to get her in the car. So after over 10 minutes of this nonsense, they keep telling her, hey, we're going to spray you. Lady cop is saying they're losing their patience. Okay, I'll find your dad. I'll get your dad. Just get in the car. She keeps saying no. And they finally make the decision to spray her like a quick, psst, half a second spray. And boom, immediately she gets in the car, which kind of proves the use of the pepper spray had the desired result. Now she got plenty of warnings. They sprayed her, tossed her in the car. As soon as they sprayed her, she's like, okay, let me wipe my eyes. Okay, let me just wipe my eyes. And she's screaming and just acting crazy. So there's a lot that happens in the video that you're not going to see in the short coverage that this event has been given. So the question is this outrageous or if it's hype? I say it's 100% hype. This is completely, it's outrageous that people are outraged about this video. It's 100% hype because there is no way that you can tell me that this girl was not justifiably pepper sprayed. She deserved every second of the half a second pepper spray that she got. I don't even mind if they would have sprayed her sooner. And pepper spray is a big deal, but let's look at why I say this is 100% hype. Number one, this girl was defiant. She was aware. She was completely disrespectful, and she was too big to be treated like the child or toddler that they're trying to make her out to be. The second thing is the mom had no control. The mom had no control of the daughter. Daughter was telling her no, she was leaving, she was going to do her own thing. The mom was completely out of control. And if the daughter is not respecting the parent, it's very unlikely that she's going to come around to respecting the police, where obviously in our society and culture, it's been okay for you to disrespect the police. Number three, her big thing was wanting to talk to her dad and get her dad, who was nowhere to be found because he had left the scene. So even if they wanted to do what she wanted them to do, it was going to take a while. And they were telling her, you can't stand out here in the snow. She's like wearing yoga pants. You can't stand out here in the snow, sit in the car and let us deal with this other stuff later. No, 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 no. Number four, she technically assaulted an officer because she kicked at least one of them one of the times that they were trying to get her into the car. Five, the reason this is hype, they tried plenty of times to be nice, to get this girl situated, to find out what she needed to help her and her family. They weren't mean, they weren't rude, they never cussed at her, they didn't. The only time they yelled at her a few times was saying, get in the car, we're done having this conversation, get in the car. They were being nice. You got the mayor on TV saying, oh, this girl just needed compassion. No, she needed some butt whoopings because she was completely out of line. And number six, it's kind of the big thing for me, is what were the other options? Normally, when you are defiant to the police, you only have so many options. The police have the right or the job to get you into compliance, and they have certain things that they can do to get you to comply. So what are their options? Well, they could have did what she wanted. They could have just let her stand out in the snow and went and run around and tried to find her father, who probably didn't want to be found by the police because he was just involved in a domestic dispute with his woman. Second thing they could have done is a joint lock or some type of physical pain. The police are authorized to use physical pain. They have batons. They could have, twisted her arms or applied pressure to some pressure points on her body, which would have physically hurt her, and that would have gotten her in the car, I believe, also, but they didn't want to physically hurt her. They also could have tased her, right? They could have used a taser or a baton to cause some physical pain to the girl to get her to comply, because that's within their purview. And their last option was the pepper sprayer. Out of all those options, I think pepper spray is the best, right? You can't just let her do what she wants and dictates how this interaction is going to go. I'm not for them twisting her arms or applying physical pressure to her pressure points. She is a child. She's smaller. You can break something or injure something on the child easier than you would physically on a child than an adult. That's fine. Obviously, a taser is going to be out of the question. A baton would be, a baton would rise to the level of outrage that people have right now. So pepper spray was really kind of the best option that they had to get her into compliance. And don't forget, they gave her half second of pepper spray, and a half a second later, her behind was in that car where she was supposed to be over 10 minutes before that. So that's why I think it's 100% hype. Let me know if you think they had some other options or things that they should have done in the comment section. Do that right after you hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Definitely know this is an event that's going to be used by people to harm the police, to limit the abilities of the police, which is they want to hurt the police and their abilities, but it's also going to hurt the citizens that they're supposed to protect. A lot of people are trying to connect this to a completely unrelated event that happened in the same city about a year ago with a guy named Daniel Prude, who was on drugs, completely out of his mind, but that's a totally different, separate situation. Because of that situation and the city and city council siding with the agitators, the city had already taken steps against the police. The steps that were taken against the police resulted in the black police chief and the command staff all resigning because they wanted to support their officers and they didn't think that they should be treated the way that the city leaders and officials were treating them. So they are already taking steps to defund the police and rein in the police and all this other kind of stuff. They also, because of this event, started some crisis intervention task force type thing that's supposed to be sent out to calls of people in crisis instead of the police. But when this call came in, they didn't think it deemed that kind of response, so they sent the police. And then they had this issue and they said, oh well, maybe we should have sent the crisis response so they can sit there next to the girl and maybe bring some coloring books and see if they can get her to go back home and listen to her mom. The attack on the police continues, and I bet you my bottom dollar, $1,000, whatever it is that you want to bet, I bet you the mom is going to get paid in a nice settlement from the city because the city officials support her and the news and leftist machines are ratcheted up behind her. She was out of control. She wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. She wasn't parenting effectively, but I'm sure she's still going to get paid. That's all I got for you. Again, don't forget, let me know what you think on this issue. Outrageous or hype? Say it's 100% hype. I'm C. Scott, and that's how I see it.